Hello and welcome to yet another new edition of the Filmageddon podcast. My name, of course, is Frank Soldato, aka the Quizmaster. That is what I've been referred to in the past. Don't look that information up because you won't find anything about it. And I am joined in tonight's episode by not two, but one Quizling. Because the man who is here tonight, Mr. Adam Grundy, has killed Blair and absorbed him to steal his powers.
Yes, Frank, like the Spice Girls before me, when two do become one.
I know what you're doing, and I don't like it.
Yes, no, I've eaten Blair's face, body, and more importantly, his tiny little butthole. It is now mine.
Oh, okay.
I have placed it around my finger, and I am...
Like a pinky ring?
Like a pinky ring, and I'm putting a challenge out there to anybody to try and take Blair's ring from thy finger. There will be a 24-hour notice period where I will announce when the Blair butthole ring finger shall be taken from me, and then you will have 24 hours to procure it from me. The winner will receive this podcast for free, which is a free, available and everywhere, which is on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher and Player FM, and I don't know where else. I mean, if you've got a fucking phone, you're either on iTunes or you're on Spotify. So
it's pretty much everywhere. Can you get it at your local library?
If it's still open, unless your Tory councils close it down, it could be.
Can you get it at a corner shop?
I believe if you ask nicely and said, excuse me, because the guys that, like, you know, the off licenses, especially in London, they're always on the phones anyway. So if you're just like, hey, excuse me, can you crack on Filmageddon? They would say, what the fuck is that? And then you could say, it's a podcast. I will buy a newspaper. And they will say, we earn very little from newspaper distribution. Please buy something like a Glen's vodka. Filmageddon is presented by Glen's vodka.
That's not true at all.
I wish it was.
It's been presented on Glen's vodka in the past, I'm sure.
It's true.
What an interesting way to start this episode. You can really tell we've got an episode packed to the gills with content ready for you. Adam, shall we kick this baby off?
Yes, kick the baby.
Okay, where is it? Those were my great sound effects. Anyway, so you know what? We spent a lot of time recently since our great, amazing, super-duper comeback discussing the films we've watched recently. We've been very timely, you know, we talked about Avengers, we talked about Pikachu, we talked about Shed of the Dead, Game of Thrones, all this big-time stuff. But you know what? I'd say it's been a little down week or two here where I haven't actually seen a new film. What about yourself? Have you seen anything recently?
I don't believe that I've watched any films this week. No, I've not. Have you? So you've not watched anything either?
Well, I started watching Chernobyl, which it's very good. I would suggest it if you'd like to be depressed. So far, it's done a great job of depressing me and terrifying me over nuclear energy. I never really gave it the credit it deserved before, but that stuff is scary. Boo! So that's a lesson for you boys and girls listening to this podcast. Don't go anywhere near radiation. It is not good for you. I'm only 2 episodes in. I hope it all turns out all right in the end.
Yes.
Anyway, maybe I was thinking, right, so we're at the end of May, start of June right now. Obviously, the summer season at the box office kicks off relatively early nowadays. Like, I tend to remember as a kid, the summer movies didn't really start hitting until maybe middle or end of May. But nowadays, it's like start of April. That's the summer, apparently. You know, all those big films, they started hitting. Avengers was sort of the first out of the gates. But I'm thinking now, after a few weeks, is this the calm before the storm? Because June, and actually what remains of May, look like quite a few good movies coming our way. So I was thinking maybe we could do a little quick rundown and preview what's coming up this month. What do you think about that, Adam? Is that a good idea? As the producer of the podcast, do you support this?
I support any kind of information passing between friends and into the ears of anybody who's trying to challenge me for Blair's Little Ring. You know, you have 24 hours starting now. No, I definitely there's some stuff that I know is coming out off the top of my head, but I do know I'm missing a lot of things, and I do find that if you're a little bit out of the bubble of being involved with like films as much as I was in the past, especially, let's peer behind the curtain one more time, Frank. But when we worked at places like the Prince Charles, I actually worked at Genesis as well, and I've worked at The View in Leicester Square. You're very aware of like, next week we've got to hit this, and it's going to be busy next week, and it's going to be there, and there's so much anticipation for what's coming out. If you're a bit out of the bubble, you lose sight. I'd love to talk about it.
The bubble is about to burst because there are some big ones coming out starting very soon. I think, you're going to probably be listening to this podcast on a Friday. So about 2 days ago in the UK, Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, as it were. So that one is obviously setting up to be pretty massive. I'm pretty sure the marketing budget on this film is as big as the production budget because I have not seen a bus without an advert on it. I've not gone to a film without some sort of trailer. I've not turned on my computer without seeing something about this film. So I'm pretty excited. What about you?
I'm indifferent. I really enjoyed Shin Godzilla, and that's a film that we watched together, actually. We went to the Prince Charles Cinema to watch that. You can see a review of it, actually, on Filmageddon's YouTube. But we, got to get the plugs in.
You got it. Hair plugs.
I really
need those.
I really enjoyed that film, and then I remember that there was the other Godzilla film that I was kind of avoiding for a while, and I watched it recently on a plane and thought it was absolutely... Godzilla was great, but the rest of it, the human story, was trash. And I'm not looking forward to this film, if I'm honest, because of people like Millie Bobby Brown being in it. I have no interest in seeing a little girl making friends with a fucking monster. It doesn't happen. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and it feels like it was designed... Maybe I'm just extrapolating from what I can see from like trailers and stuff, but it sounds like it was made by someone who thought they were a lot cleverer than they are. And this time, she's friends with the monster. She understands it. Like, whoa. Sorry, Godzilla would just... her scenes should be 3 seconds long before she's destroyed and killed by the monster.
Before she's just gobbled up. So I'm obviously going to be very much in the opposite direction of this. I will agree that, the 2014 Godzilla was quite... it really let me down, because I'm a lifelong Godzilla fan, and we're going to talk about this a hell of a lot more, I think, next week, but... that 2014 film, it was set up to be so good. You had your Bryan Cranston in it. You had your fucking Quicksilver there doing his shit, but they didn't, as you said, Godzilla was great in it, but he was barely in it. He was in it for about 10 minutes, and then luckily I think Kong Skull Island came about, made some money, and they realized that these films need to be a bit more fun and not take themselves too seriously. And hopefully they brought in Michael Dougherty, who did Trick or Treat and Krampus, which are two very fun, entertaining films that subvert their genres in a way. And I'm hoping he seems to be, at least from everything he's saying on social media. Obviously, he couldn't lie on social media. That's against the rules. But he seems like someone who has a genuine passion for Godzilla. Like some of the stories he tells are very similar to the stories I would tell about, remembering watching these films as a kid and everything. So I'm ready. We'll talk about that more next week, hopefully after we've seen it, and I can maybe even give you guys a little history lesson along the way.
Well, you're the Zilla head, aren't you? Or what would you guys call yourselves? You and the other Godzilla faithful.
I'm a Zillaphile. Okay. Or a wait, that's wait, we're gonna have to, there's gonna be some stuff that we're gonna bleep out of this. I don't know, weirdly, like, as much into the fandom as I am, I don't really know.
Well, and that's one for next week. We'll find out, or if anyone knows what a fucking massive fan of Godzilla is, or if they exist, or are they just, Frank, are you technically the only one? I doubt it, because there's a lot of Godzilla shit out there,
and I own most of it.
You do. It's getting scary at this point. But there are some other films coming out as well. I think is it this month or is it this? Oh no, this week. Is it Ma that's coming out with
Ma!
with Octavia Spencer, or was that last week?
No, I think it's meant to come out this. I think these dates are sort of here and there with like UK and US, but so yeah, Ma's supposed to come out the same time as Godzilla.
Yes, 31st of May. There we go.
And as is, I think this film's already out in cinemas over here in the UK, but Rocketman, which, that's one of those films where you could take it or leave it, I'm sure.
Leave it.
But, I'll watch it, probably just not in the cinema. I'll watch it on a plane, like I did for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah,
and
I'd watch it on a plane. That definitely seems like Rocketman would be maybe a plane film for me. But I think I'd definitely like to go see Ma, just because it looks like she's doing a completely different kind of role that she's, that you would put her up for. You wouldn't imagine.
This is the sort of like the thriller, right?
Yeah, with Octavia Spencer. So she's like a woman who like starts hanging out with all these little kids, and then she's like, oh, you can, not little children like babies, but she's like, oh, come and hang out.
I kicked that baby. It's out of
here. She's like, come on and hang out at my house, and then I guess it all starts kicking off. Every film,
shit hits the fan.
Every film is just, and Godzilla's awoken, and now he's storming the earth, and shit starts kicking off, and then shit quietens down for a bit, maybe. I think that looks good, and I definitely like to go see that in the cinema. It's just, what kind of, especially now we're getting up to nearing half term, so those people who love the cinema are gonna have to start being a bit more picky about when we go.
Well, I think it's picked I don't think the film itself isn't sentient. It didn't pick this time, but it's a very unfortunate time for that film to come out, because I can definitely see that getting buried. But that just takes us to the end of May. We haven't even started with June yet, because that first week of June has two films that are gonna fight for that title of box office champ for that week, I imagine. You've got one right up your block.
Yes.
Dark Phoenix.
Oh, God.
And you got one right up, not my block, probably not your block. I did watch the first one. It's The Secret Life of Pets 2. And they got rid of the sex pest. Replaced it with Patton Oswalt. So, so you've got those two films. Adam, you're slightly excited for Dark Phoenix, aren't you?
Do you know what? I'm not. I feel like it's like watching an old relative, and at this point, I just want them put out of the misery. Take the dog into the garden and shoot it. Am I excited to see the X-Men on screen? Yes, I always am. Have I been teased enough times in my life by the X-Men franchise to know that whatever I think it might be, it will be worse? Yes. Did I have those feelings at X-Men 1 and 2? No, but I was a lot younger than I am now. I'm not excited in any way. I think the fact that, I think we were discussing it previously, or maybe we discussed it just in person, Frank, that the film, who's directed it, they were all excited about, we've actually changed in all of these reshoots of Dark Phoenix to now, instead of being the end scene is in space, no one wants to see that. They want to see it on a train.
Yep. I love trains. I'm on them every day.
Oh, wow. And I never have sat on a train gone, I wish the X-Men were here. Because, do you know what? They already were in X-Men 1 when fucking Wolverine goes to find Magneto and he just, like, pones him down the train. And even then I was like, I'm not interested in this. It's a train. And I was a child, so I should have been interested. I'm not interested in Dark Phoenix. I've never liked half the casting they've done for this team. I've hated the focus on stuff like Mystique. I've hated her take on the character. I've even now grew to kind of hate James McAvoy's take on Picard. Fucking know what I'm talking about. Xavier.
Yes.
The Picard men.
Give us that show.
I'm not excited whatsoever. And
but you're not ready for another jaunty slow motion sequence set to popular music of the era?
I'm done. I'll be honest, I'm tapping out with it.
What if it turns out to be the best X-Men movie ever? Imagine.
Great.
All the reshoots, all this stuff, and then it's literally the best X-Men movie yet.
What fun. What fun that would be. I'm not ever above saying I don't look forward to something and then enjoying the fucking hell out of it. Do you know, it's funny though, like with Dark Phoenix coming out, there are you mentioned that there's Fighting the Secret Life of Pets, ha ha ha, that's coming out as well. But there's another film that's coming out as well that week of June the 7th, which is Late Night.
Oh, yes, Late Night. Okay, I glossed over that because when I read the title, I didn't remember what it was. But when you said it, I remembered.
So it's got, like, I think it's about, Emma Thompson, and she is a talk show host in America.
Like James Corden.
I guess it's sad that to some people that might be the guidance of what late night host is. So no, she it's about Emma Thompson, and she hires Mindy Kaling to be a writer, I guess, on the show. And they've got like John Lithgow in there. They've got that's about it. But I'm quite looking forward to it because I really enjoyed like there's a book by Bill Carter who wrote like the book on like the War for Late Night, and he wrote like what was the original movie, The Late Shift. So I'm quite looking forward to that because I would secretly a big fan of late night TV. Would you say you have a secret life? Yes.
Of late night TV?
Oh, in the past, but maybe not now because everything's kind of watered down. And it's for clicks.
Oh, clickbait.
Have I convinced you to watch that film over The Dark Phoenix? And what's your thoughts on Dark Phoenix?
Summer season for me. I'm going blockbuster every week. I'm not gonna see the small, probably better movies. I'll save those for home, where I don't have to share my space with people that are looking at their phones or talking, and I don't have to feel awkward about telling them to shut up. I can stand it at a big box office blockbuster film because everything's so loud and in your face that like my periphery is just destroyed anyway, so I don't really care. But yeah, that week, if I don't know if I'd go see any of those films in a cinema actually, but if there was one, it would probably be Dark Phoenix out of sheer morbid curiosity. Like, you're driving past that car accident. You want to take a look. You want to see the limbs on the ground. You want to see the police officer vomiting in the side there. You want to see the carnage.
Yes.
And when I think carnage in the X-Men franchise, I think X-Men 3, and this looks like a remake of that.
It does. It does.
Like, even the same effects for Phoenix. And I just want to know, like, we won't get into it too much now, but in the last film, she got her Phoenix powers a bit at the end, but then we're supposed to posit that in this film, that's when the Phoenix Force goes into her. So what the hell happened during the last film? I think what happened was that the writers are stupid.
We will speak. I would like to think we're going to speak about it again probably in a lot more depth, but because it's sadly something I'm passionate about. And it's sad that I'm passionate about something that is actually crap. It's crap, and there's no continuing like, hey, listen, we've tied James McAvoy and Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence down for fucking 3 films, 4 films, whatever it's been. Like, right, okay, so what's the plan? Well, no, I made the contracts. Yeah, I know, but what are the films going to be? I don't know. When they meet, oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, and after that, there's no like. So do we want her to end with the Phoenix? It's like, yeah. What's the Phoenix? It's like, what the fuck are you working here for, dude? Like, why have they not just had this one idea that you would just pass through it and go, it's one thread that continues all the way along? Because clearly there's a fucking audience for it.
That's it. Like, why hasn't it been like just like peppered about? And I know like they didn't introduce Jean until what was it? Was it the last one they introduced her? Apocalypse?
I don't know at this point.
I think yeah. So yeah, she wasn't in Days of Future Past. So I think it was Apocalypse where they introduced her. So obviously they've only have a single film to sort of build this story, but like they could have been laying breadcrumbs along the way. Like they could have been mentioning weird things in space, and instead they just like had her have a little freak out moment at the end of the last film. So everyone was like, "Oh, she's gonna become the Phoenix," and now they just nothing with this film smells right, if you get my drift. But, again, maybe that's for the best. Maybe it's going to come and take us by surprise. We won't know until June 7th.
No, we won't. But what about the week after? Because we're looking through June, really. We're looking for our expectations. So there's
Wow.
I see 2 films there. There's other ones are releasing unlimited. But as we say, this is going to be... I'm with you, Frank. If I've got X amount to spend in a month, I want to know that I'm getting my full bang for my buck. And June 14th, there are 2 films there that I see. Both quite actually titled sort of the same thing.
I need to know where you're going with this one.
There is...
Oh.
There is...
Oh, no.
June 14th is the release of... I'll say the first one, which is the worst.
Yes.
Which I imagine will be the worst one. Shaft.
Oh.
Shaft.
Oh, yes.
Now...
John Shaft.
I'd forgot this fucking existed.
Well, this is a weird one because I remember seeing it pop up in like the film news websites when they were making it, and it struck me as just this most bizarre thing because there was the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft movie, which apparently was quite good. I remember watching bits of it. I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it start to finish. Christian Bale plays a massive bigoted racist. Probably not too far of a stretch. Samuel L. Jackson is Shaft, but then this film is a sequel to that film, but it also brings in old Shaft, Richard Roundtree, who plays Shaft's grandfather, and then it's also Shaft Jr., who plays Shaft Jr. Do you know off the top of your head?
Jesse T. Usher.
Jesse T. Usher. So it's not the Usher we know and love.
And I'd like that.
But is it someone related to Usher?
I don't believe so. I don't think Usher's a family name, I'll be honest. I think Usher might be his. No, Jesse T. Usher was apparently in Independence Day Resurgence.
Did he play Will Smith's son in Independence Day Resurgence? I think he did.
Did he now? I couldn't tell you. Apparently he's also in Creed 2, which I know we've both seen.
I can't remember that the life of me.
He played Lil Maniac.
Lil Maniac?
Yes.
I need to watch Creed 2 again.
Do you?
just for the fight, surely.
Yeah, the fights are good. It's just the rest of it, it's like, hey, Creed 1, it's its own thing, and you watch it and you're like, this is fucking class. And Creed 2, they're like, hey, you remember that Rocky film? Do you remember the Rocky film? Do you remember the Rocky film? Do you remember the Rocky film? You can't compare these two. Well, I'm sorry, you just mentioned whatever the one where he fights Ivan Drago, and you mentioned that so much that, of course, I have to compare them. And yours is...
So yeah, we've got Shaft. I from the trailers I've seen, I actually think this looks all right. Because the first Shaft with Samuel L. Jackson was quite a serious thing. It had a bit of that tongue-in-cheekness to it, but it was sort of it was an action drama that dealt heavily with race and race relations and all that. This seems like more of a thing like a Rush Hour movie. There's a lot of comedy there. It's like a comedy action thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not I have no sort of connection to the characters. My biggest knowledge of Shaft probably comes from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because that's what Will Smith's character he loved Shaft.
Yeah.
So from the trailers, again, maybe it's a plain movie. Maybe I'm sitting in my boxers on a Saturday and I happen to flick by it. I'll watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm with you with that. It's it doesn't look serious. Maybe that is a disservice for a certain amount of the audience, but I imagine that, you know what, let's just fucking go for it. I mean, I've read the description of it, and it was saying how John Shaft Jr., otherwise known as JJ, is now a cybersecurity expert with a degree from MIT, so we know he's a nerd. Enlists his father's help, who wears apparently the exact same coat and turtleneck and shades as his father did, enlists his father's help to uncover the truth behind his best friend's untimely death. And it just looks like a parody, basically. But for some reason, also original Shaft is in there. So it looks like something that was in a fake poster in a film, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah. Like you'd be watching fucking Mallrats 2 or something, and then it'd be like, oh, they're doing another Shaft with all the shafts. Like it doesn't sound like a real thing. It does sound like a piece of fiction. But there we go. It's coming out, and it's coming out the same week as what?
Men in Black International.
Here come the Men in Black International.
What do you think about this, Frank? What do you from the trailers and maybe what you've come to expect of the Men in Black films? Do you expect anything better?
When I watched the trailer, I was sort of getting into the idea of like, right, I love Tessa Thompson, I love Chris Hemsworth when he does his like comedy thing. Emma Thompson reprising her role like weirdly from Men in Black 3. All that stuff hits with me. I loved the first Men in Black, like big part of my childhood. Men in Black 2, not so much. Men in Black 3, yes, I like that one again. But I don't know, the trailer just didn't have a lot of sort of wow moments to it. Like, it all seemed very bland. Like, oh, they're in the car where they press the button and it goes fast. Yeah, they've done that joke. Oh, there's a little funny alien. Oh, who's he voiced by? Kumail Nanjiani. God. But there he is. It's the racist man who, well, he was a young man. You can't blame him. He was upset at the time. He's in it. Yeah, I'll see it, I guess.
Wait, who the hell are you talking about? Who's a racist?
Who's a racist?
In Hollywood.
No. He hates flying. If you catch my drift.
Oh yeah, Mr. Neeson. He did not like Men in Black.
Oh!
He wouldn't like Shaft either. He said some horrible things, and clearly, by his own admission, did them too.
Oh God, yeah. That I could have done without that sort of stuff coming out. But yeah, it's a film that exists. It's a property that I'm familiar with, and it's a film that I probably will see. I'm not going to run out the door to go see it on June 14th. But maybe there's a day where I'm at home, I got nothing else to do, and I can go to a matinee. Hey, that sounds like a good morning at the cinema to me. What about you?
You know what? It feels like they're obviously taking is it Warner Brothers who do more Men in Black? Either way, it's a studio that's going, what the fuck do we have as a property? We need a franchise. And not to the level of like, Dark Universe kind of franchise that just falls on its arse. They were like, we need something. We need a big box office thing. We've got a week in June 14th. What else is coming out that day? Shaft, is it? You're damn right. But they were like, let's just...
Shut your mouth!
Let's just try and release something. What can we do? And do I think that I love Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, especially, in the Thor films and obviously separately. But I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to seeing what she would do with the role, because I'm pretty sure I've seen Chris Hemsworth do. I've seen the extent of his comedy chops now, and apart from Thor Ragnarok, Tessa Thompson's comedy kind of chops kind of takes a backseat, especially when you look at like Avengers. There's so much going on that she didn't really get much to do. She's just like, I'm here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to do with the film. However, I feel like it is just aimed at, like probably the first Men in Black is just aimed, maybe not at myself, maybe at younger people who will laugh at the funny alien, but, who would also probably laugh at Minions.
The Minions. And that's why there's that small alien with the big eyes. Although on the poster, I do notice that Frank the Pug is back. So, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm there opening day.
That's what I was going to say. So obviously June 7th, we've kind of decided that our money would probably go towards Dark Phoenix. I don't have kids, so I don't have to take them fucking Secret Life of Pets 2. And even if I did, I'd be like, you're going Dark Phoenix. No, if I had kids, I'd be like, you're going to go watch Late Night. June 14th, what has your money? Is it Men in Black International or is it Shaft?
It's Men in Black International. If I had to choose, gun to my head, neuralizer to my eyes, it's Men in Black International. What about you?
I don't know. I'd be tempted by Shaft now. I'll be honest. I keep looking at this poster I've got open, and I'm like,
it's just all the turtlenecks, isn't it?
Yeah, and the font is 3D, and I don't know. I'm interested. And at least if you go watch one, I go watch the other, then we'll know.
It's a 50-50 split then.
Please don't make the podcast be about this, though. I don't want to have it like 2 weeks' time and be like, did you go watch Shaft? Like, oh, fuck me. Am I going to go watch Shaft?
Well, that's 2 weeks with quite a lot of competition.
Yeah.
But then I think things really step up here in week 3, where there's some very funny bits happening thanks to the gods of film releases. And so there's 3 wide releases on June the 21st. The first one, I'm going to admit, I have no idea what it is. It's called Anna, and it stars Sasha Lush, Luke Evans, Cillian Murphy, and Helen Mirren.
Wow.
And you know what? I could read to you what it's about. I can let you know that it's written and directed by Luc Besson.
Okay.
So, it's probably going to be very stylish. It's probably going to be very European. I'm sure the main girl is a badass, but I've not seen anything of this film, and I don't really know if I'm going to watch the trailer either.
No, do you know what? I'm still burnt, I think, by Luc Besson.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that effect on people, really.
Didn't he do Valerian, the city of a fucking thousand cities, planets, or whatever?
He did do that, and I still haven't seen it.
Don't
I just
bother. If you're listening to this podcast, avert your eyes.
Well, it's got 2 of my favorite actors in it, Dean Dehane and Cara Delevingne.
Thank God those 2 slightly disappeared.
Thanks to that film. If the film did anything, it was that.
And we both know that, well, you don't because you haven't watched it yet, but the best bit is Rihanna, and she plays an octopus. I
did see that in the trailer. I mean, I will say the most enticing thing from the trailer was Rihanna in her skimpy outfits, especially, I think, when she's like a nurse or something.
No, when she's
watch that film.
The octopus. It's the best thing.
She's got all the tentacles.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying for that reason. Yeah, I am not in any way, shape or form probably going to watch Anna. And I feel like it's going to be one of those films that just pass me by again, and I watch it just in the mirror, in the rearview mirror as it rides off. But there are 2 other big films that the 21st. It's going to be very difficult for Anna to get a look in with these 2.
It is. We've got 2 films. Obviously, one is going to win the box office here, and I'd say that is going to be Toy Story 4. So, they decided after everybody was very, very happy with the way Toy Story 3 ended. Can't top this. Perfect way to end the series. Let's make a 4th one because money.
Yes, here comes the money. Here it comes.
I mean, what are your thoughts on a Toy Story 4? Are you a big fan of the series? Did you like the 3rd one? Did you think, why would they make a 4th one? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think that obviously the first one was amazing, and it was very contained and everything, and it did even with the plethora of characters I had in it, and as a child watching it, you can rewatch it now as an adult and go, shit, they did things really well there, and there was enough in it that they went on a journey, but it didn't go too far. But to the toys, it was so big because the world is so big to them. I think Toy Story 2 was probably okay because there was a sort of reversal, and whatever. I don't think it was good, but I think that there was a good enough plot line there of the reversal of Woody and Buzz, that dynamic. I thought actually number 3 I don't think was that good at all. I like the ending. I like we all like the scene at the end, and I think people forget that the rest of it is just treading water until then. What they're in some stupid fucking school or something, or a kindergarten, and
a daycare center,
whatever.
Yeah.
I want to see one of them like torn up, just like really horrific stuff. And I think Toy Story's kind of lost a bit in between Woody going into Sid's room and seeing how scary those toys were, and the sort of the end scene of Toy Story 3. There wasn't much meat in between those things. And Toy Story 4, no one wanted it, but do I think a lot of people are gonna go watch it because a lot of people don't have any standards, and that's fine because I don't have any standards. But I'm not gonna watch Toy Story 4. Are you gonna watch it, Frank?
You know what? I'm probably gonna go watch it because I liked them all. You know what? I'm an easy sell, Adam. You give me some entertainment, and I'm an easy guy. I'll take it in. I'll just open it up, and I'll take it in, and I'll have a smile on my face or a ball gag in my mouth. But no, obviously, the first Toy Story came along and like blew me out of the waters. I thought the second one personally was a better film than the first one when you get past the fact of like, right, the first one was this very unique thing for the time. Why do a second one? And then you sort of hear the story of how the second one even came to be, and even that is like this incredible story of like, oh, it was going to be the straight to DVD thing that Disney was going to make without Pixar, and then they scrapped a whole movie that involved like recalling Buzz and all this, and then they had to rush to get this film out in time, and even despite all that, it remained a really good film. And then Toy Story 3, like, yeah, it's a bunch of toys mucking about in like a daycare center, and like there's bad toys and there's good toys, and it looks very similar to almost like the new one where there's like bad toys and good toys. But I think the whole plot line that ran through, which I don't know, it seems maybe like it will for this one again, is sort of Woody having to like let go of this idea. And even as a person who can still buys toys to this day, like that thought of like letting go of those old toys and what that means, letting go of the past. And as we keep growing up, that's what you have to just keep letting go. You have to let go of many things, and we'll go into the deep complexity and emotional scarring of these films later in June. But you know what? You said, you like those horrific toys and stuff that there were in Toy Story the first. Well, what about the most horrific toy of them all, Adam?
The dildo.
Oh, no. But that brings up a good question for a possible future entry in Toy Story. No, it's Chucky. He's back. Oh. It's a Child's Play remake. Why have they done it? I don't know. Nobody asked for it, especially considering that they're still making films in the sort of original timeline. Yeah. But you know what? I was ready to hate it, and then I've watched the trailers, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I think, for anyone who doesn't know, they're still making the Child's Play films, albeit, it's probably gone, especially given the last one, in a very strange direction. But at least the original team is still involved, and I love the fact we've kind of, the reason why people love fucking the Avengers or whatever, all these, you can only just point to the biggest franchise going, that you can take a film and go right back to the start, and it was in the 80, when was Child's Play, 85, 84?
What, the first Child's Play?
Yeah.
I want to say maybe 87 or 89, but that sounds a bit too late. Let's through the magic of killing time and talking, say 1988.
Okay. To go back that far and know that when you're watching the latest Chucky film, that it's like, oh shit, it's actually the same fucking thing. It's the same doll. They've never tried to ignore what happened. And even though I doubt who's the guy who directed it, is it Don Mancini?
So he created Child's Play, and he's directing all the new ones. The original one was directed by someone else, but the person who's in charge of sort of creating the franchise and who runs it now is Don Mancini.
To have it like start and that, and there's no way he was going, do you know what, in 20 years time, there's gonna be a film and they're gonna think it's a remake, but then we peel Chucky's face off and it's the original doll. Do you know, there's no way in hell, shape or form that he planned for that to be the culmination of later films. I think having him still involved and having that voice and having the original people involved, and it just gives the legitimacy to it. And yeah, it's stupid, it's crude, it's ridiculous, but I love it as a fan of films. I can go, holy shit, it's the same character, and then this person went and did that, and they did that, and the streak of blood that this stupid little serial killer inside and a doll that never dies, and it's a series that never dies, and I hope it never will until the filmmakers and all the actors that were in it are dead, and that's when we end it. Instead, they're gonna be like, hey, let's just do a new one, and it's got, you know, whoever in it, whatever her name is, fucking
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza's in it, and I'm not judging her for being in it. I'm sure that she'll be fine. I'm sure she's fine in it. I only watched like a few episodes of Legion, but she seems to give her more, you know, give her the material. I'm sure she could work with anything, but I'm not interested in Child's Play. If I'm honest, I'd rather watch Toy Story 4, even though I just said it was going to be shit.
Wow, I'm a bit shocked. There's not a tiny bit of interest, but I can understand it as well. Like,
I'm hurt.
I think me and you are probably definitely not the people we know. We're the biggest Child's Play fans that there are. Like, I think Child's Play 2 like remains one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Like, it just sort of like how crazy, how massively it ups the stakes from the first one and sort of sets the tone for the rest of the series after it.
Yeah.
And of course, like, Brad Dourif is like amazing in that role. Like, he is the voice of Chucky, to the point when like the new trailer for the new one came out, and like I heard Mark Hamill, and like Mark Hamill is a great voice actor and obviously a great actor, and I love Mark Hamill's voice as the Joker and all this stuff. But then when I heard his like laugh in this film, I'm like, well, why is he imitating Brad Dourif? They could have just got Brad Dourif to do it. But then since that first trailer, I think like I've heard bits of him talking, and he does sound a bit more Mark Hamill-y, which sort of puts my mind at ease a bit. And I like the direction it's taking. Like, I'm happy it's not trying to do the exact same story.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think, isn't it interesting to have it that we hear Mark Hamill in the first trailer try and do what sounds like an impression of Brad Dourif, and yet everyone's like, oh, but you're not the same. And yet when people do, there's animated things now of like the Joker, or whenever there's, you know, a live action thing, you're like, oh, you're trying to do a Mark Hamill voice. Do you know, it's very interesting that we all have like affinities to certain characters, and only when it's like done in a certain way that when you can reuse a character, you know, even mentioning Mark Hamill, but when having when Carrie Fisher died and they used, did they use her daughter, or was it, no, they used somebody else as like the step in as kind of like the replacement in one of the shots, in fucking, was it The Last Jedi? Was it it was The Last Jedi, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when she died.
Sorry, no, it was in fucking Solo, wasn't it? In Solo, no, The Force. What was the other one that I'm fucking forgetting?
She was still alive when The Force Awakens came out. Solo, they just
Rogue
did
One.
a CGI thing.
Rogue One.
Oh yeah, Rogue One.
And she's like, they use a different actress to kind of just say that, oh, Carrie Fisher, you know, that Princess Leia was there, and because it was done in such a tasteful way, you're like, okay, like, I don't mind that. Like, I do think that when an actor's gone, it should be something new, but I'm not as opposed to people taking over roles as long as they make it the road. We've seen that countless times of different things, but yeah, I just think that it goes a little bit too far, and I think the way that the Dom Mancini is now shooting these other ones, yeah, there'll be a degree of CGI in it, but I just have a feeling that in the newest trailers they've showed it enough that it's like, oh, we're going to use some practical effects, but I just don't hold hope that it's not going to just be a CGI fest the minute I get in there.
Yeah, I watched some of the like behind the scenes stuff for it, and it does seem they want to try to do like a lot of practical effects, but weirdly, like some of the technology it looks like they're using for the practical effects looks worse than some of the behind the scenes stuff from some of the earlier Child's Play movies, because those were really, really intricate animatronic. Is that the animatronics?
Yeah.
Or are those what you find at Disney World?
The ones with the Hall of Presidents.
Like like robotics, all that stuff. Like those back in the day seemed really sort of on point, whereas some of these look really simplified. And what was great about those original ones is they used all sorts of camera tricks, like top-down photography, where there was like a short person playing the part. lots of like forced perspective things so that they could get around the limitations of the practical effects.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, like, oh, yeah, we can't make him walk convincingly in this shot, so we'll just CGI like little legs running, and you're like, but I like the idea of where the story's going with like the technology side, and hopefully that means the character of Chucky will get a different sort of representation, because obviously the original, he's a serial killer who possesses the doll, whereas in this, he's just going to be like something that came to life for the first time, almost like Frankenstein's monster. It's, I'm not going to go that deep into it. It's probably not going to be that good or that entertaining, but out of sheer curiosity, it looks like it's sort of carrying that torch of 80s horror movie, but in the current era. Like, even the Orion logo at the start of the trailer was like the original sort of 80s grainy version of it, which sort of tickled my little heartstrings, as it were. So, well, I guess we have to pick a movie for June 21st to see in the cinemas. So what you gonna see?
I'd probably just pick Child's Play, if I'm honest, now thinking about it, because I'm thinking about what kind of people would be in the cinema, and do I want to sit in a cinema full of kids watching Toy Story 4 in the middle of the school
holidays? Not on opening weekend.
Not on opening weekend, no. I can do without not watching Toy Story 4. I can do without not watching Child's Play, but I'll watch it.
You're going to see Anna, aren't you?
I am. Fuck it. Valerian, it had me. Child's Play for me. What about you, Frank?
I know that I will end up seeing Toy Story 4 first, but I think that'll be one of those weeks where I find myself in the cinema twice, if I'm honest.
Ooh, that's a...
Or maybe a double bill.
What? Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
That'd be a great double bill.
Yeah, you watch Toy Story 4, either the later screenings, or I think you could do a late screening of Toy Story 4 because the parents are going to take him during the day.
Yes, yeah, get that out of the way so they can get home and drink some wine and do all that stuff. So you go at night when, it's going to have the adult crowd there, but not as much, not the annoying little kids who are whining and throwing popcorn. So you watch that at like a 7 o'clock show, 7:30, that finishes at like 9:30. Then you get yourself into Child's Play, you unzip your pants, you get there, you're all excited, you're all lubed up, ready to go, and then boom! Sorry, Jack. Charles, the robotic doll, is back.
I can't wait. I'm fully lubed up myself now.
I'm glad you're lubed up.
It's Blair's little ring. Remember, guys, you now have 23 hours to track me down and pluck the ring from thy witch finger. The week after Frank, now this is pretty much the last week of June, but they're releasing one film on the Wednesday and then pretty much one film on the Friday, which is a very strange thing to do.
Those midweek releases always slip in.
But there's two films that are coming out. One is Annabelle Comes Home.
Oh, where'd Annabelle go?
She's been away for a bit. And
she's been sleeping with Chucky the week before.
Oh, no, that's Tiffany. Tiffany would.
Evil toys. Oh, yes. How could I forget?
So Annabelle's back.
They have a kid.
They do. Glenn or Glenda. Which is very ahead of its fucking time. Like, that was, it's not really. It was drawing on experiences that people were getting, that were being publicized. But that was ahead of its time.
If Luke was here, I know what he would say.
He would probably say he loved it.
Yes.
So yeah, The Conjuring apparently is a series that people watched, and then Annabelle is a series that people watched, and I can tell you that I have not watched any of it.
Not even the one with a friend of yours in it.
No, I've not. Oh, The Conjuring 2, or is it 3? Whichever, he's in it.
2. They haven't made the third one yet.
He plays a teacher. Have you watched any of the fucking Conjuring or Annabelle films, or what's it about?
I watched the first Conjuring. Me and Blair went to see the first Conjuring in the cinemas, and I remember enjoying it. There were some very stupid parts in it. And then I remember being interested by the series, because they sort of spun this off into its own little thing. I think this is I think this Annabelle film is the 7th or 8th movie in the series already. Mm-hmm. And this one, what sets this apart is this is the third Annabelle film, but it ties into the first Conjuring film because your boy Patrick Wilson is back. Oh. He's reprising his role as boring father number 1. So he's back. The Warrens, as it were, the main people from The Conjuring. This film takes place with their daughter trapped in the house with the doll, and there's a doll who never really does anything. Like there's other ghosts and like demons that do things. The doll just sort of sits there looking creepy. I don't know.
I can tell you that I don't want to watch it. And do you know when I said at the start of this that I'd not watch a film? Do you know I actually watched 20 minutes of a film, Lakeview Terrace, with Patrick Wilson in it.
Why?
It was I was not at my choice. I was in a room and it was put on, and I realized that during house arrest I don't know where to go. I have nowhere to go. But you know what? There's light at the end of the tunnel for any of us who've not seen any of these fucking Conjuring films, who wouldn't waste their hard-earned money on it. That there's a film, Danny Boyle's new film, called Yesterday.
Oh, like that song by the Rolling Stones.
See, you in the world of Yesterday.
Go on.
The Beatles never existed.
Who are the Beatles, I ask?
From writer Richard Curtis. Now, I'm sure that Richard Curtis found it very difficult writing for a character that wasn't white as fucking snow. Yeah, so basically, this fella wakes up, played by Himesh Patel, who... Mm-hmm. Do you know the name, Frank? Does it jump out to you?
I know that he's from EastEnders.
That's where I was getting it. He played Tamwar in EastEnders. And I actually might go watch Yesterday just to see how he is in it. Because I can tell you, as a man who was paid to watch EastEnders, he was absolutely awful. He always looked like he's constantly left a shit in a bag somewhere and he's worried someone's going to find it. Or he's in the process of doing a shit into a bag, worried that someone might notice. I can't imagine he's a leading man in any way, shape, or form. However, I'll give him a chance.
This is a film that it also feels like a film that it would be a poster in another movie because I don't know, like, you know, I like to think I'm well versed in film news, and by well versed I mean I go to all the fucking websites every day because I've got nothing else to do. So I read about all these films getting made, and I know they're coming. And you know, Danny Boyle. You know, I've said it a lot in the past. He was at least my favorite director for a long period of time. He's made some of my favorite movies. I've even liked most of his trashy films. And so, like, I follow his career. Like, okay, I knew he was going to do the new Bond, so I was like, right, really excited about this. And then he didn't do the new Bond. Was really disappointed. I had no idea this film was coming out until the trailer released.
Yeah,
and it's like, right, I like the Beatles. I won't, if you don't like the Beatles, that's fine. But I think a large majority of the people who like music tend to like the Beatles, so that's an easy sell. Richard Curtis, I don't really care for much of his shit. I constantly forget the name of Love Actually, and I always have to say it's that British Christmas movie.
That's about right.
But yeah, I don't know. I saw the trailer and I think it looks interesting enough. I'll watch it, but I'm not excited about it. It'll probably be trash. It feels like one of those middle Danny Boyle films where it's like, oh, he's not pushing any boundaries. It's like Millions. Here you go. It's meant to make you emotional or something, and meant to have a bunch of characters and situations that wouldn't happen in real life, and you like it, everyone smile, it affirms life. I don't care. Make something interesting, Danny Boyle, please.
I challenge you. I mean, in all seriousness, I'm probably not going to watch it, but I would be interested just to see how he gets on, Himesh Patel. And you know what, it's more of a, especially like after that, or at least during that week, if your choice comes down to seeing, imagine you want to watch like a light-hearted sort of rom-com, and all you've had in the month of June has been Annabelle for the fucking kooky people out there, Toy Story for the kids, Child's Play for dweebs like us, Shaft, Men in Black International, Secret Life of Pets, Late Night and Dark Phoenix, if you actually just want to watch a kind of feel-good film, isn't it kind of sad that there's only one that month?
Yeah, and it's at the end of the month. You're sort of going a whole month without any sort of date movie, really.
Yeah. So I think that's it. It's interesting then to where they've put it as well. I guess that their hope is that sort of stuff like Rocketman from today, Friday, when this is released, May 31st, or I think that they're hoping that stuff like that, or even Toy Story, will kind of tide you over. But it's interesting when you think about, because stuff like Yesterday would be released and it might end up doing seriously well, and then it kind of kicks off a whole thing. And if it does, good for them. Not good for Richard Curtis. I don't like him, but good for Danny Boyle. Good for any of the actors involved and stuff.
All right, so Adam, that is the June release schedule, there or thereabouts, for the UK and the US. Some big films coming out, and it's going to lead way into July, which has some massive ones, but we'll get to those at the end of June, probably. But we want to know what you guys out there in the wild world of the internet think's going to be the best movies. What are you going to see on opening weekend? What are you most looking forward to in the month? Make sure you let us know on the old Twitter. That's at FilmAgainQuiz. We're going to have some posts on Instagram, Film Again Film Quiz. Where else? That's it, right? There's no others.
That's it for now. The Instagram is just Filmageddon, and Twitter is Filmageddon Quiz. But yeah, that's it really. I've been enjoying recently, being able to be back and talking about films and having a focus on films, and also being able to speak to people online and share about films, because it's quite nice to just step back into it and know that the Filmageddon audience and the people who used to come to the quiz, a good bunch of people. And it's always nice seeing that they're also quite creative as well. So it feels nice to be back in the community. It's like you're in your house for maybe a year and you just fidgeting with yourself, and you had a ring on your finger and you just kept playing with it. But now,
no,
you're back in the town centre and you want to have a little chat and a chin wag, and then you come out and you go, holy shit, everyone's still pretty sound. So yeah, just let us know what films that you're looking forward to. And, I'd like that. But don't talk to me personally, though.
No, if you ever see him in the world, don't even make eye contact with him. He doesn't like it.
I'm evil.
Doesn't like it. I was gonna say, it's been a really nice few weeks here. I mean, we've been back at it with the podcast consistently, which I think obviously it's nice for us to be able to talk to each other sort of every week and have a reason to do it outside of when we do it normally. Like, it's nice to have that little push, and hopefully it's nice for you guys out there who know that, hey, you can listen to these guys this time of the week, every week. They're going to be there for as long as, we can keep this thing going, and hopefully that's going to be a long time. Me and Adam and Blair and Luke, we're sort of talking about new ideas to try to, put a lot more spark and effort into this Film Again thing. The podcasts are going to keep up. We want to keep making some videos. We got some really good ideas to get the videos going on our YouTube again, because, that's sort of... We had our fun things on our YouTube, but it slowed down. But we don't dwell on the negative, because there's a positive future coming. And, of course, the quiz. It's on everybody's mind, Adam.
It is. It's on a lot of people's minds. We do actually get a lot of messages about the quiz, and it's greatly appreciated. It is. I often don't know how to answer, because but it also makes you feel good that, because we used to spend so much time doing the quiz, you spent so much time actually making it, and I guess the amount of prizes that we always tried to have for the price, the price of the quiz, we always made sure, which was not our doing, we always tried to get the best possible stuff, and especially what we knew people would like. And it was always nice. It was always very comforting as well to make a quiz or do like our little mini games in between and go like, no one's going to find this funny. And people, at least 20% of the time did. There was sometimes it did go over well, which is fine. But it was, I think it's nice to know it was something that's so beloved. And, well, this year, we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's going to be a quiz this year, and whether that's one quiz or multiple quizzes, the quiz will be back, and hopefully with all of this stuff, that means a jump start to everything. So, it's a bit of momentum, really. Like, we pumped the brakes, the car started to rust over. Now we've had to, we had to get out there, start the car every few days, give it a little rev, take care of it, get it waxed, get it oiled, all that stuff. Hopefully once it starts going downhill and picking up speed, it won't be able to stop, and it'll be this runaway freight train. But yeah, as you said, like, the reason why we do it is everybody out there who enjoys it. Like, I never would have thought when we started the quiz that so many people would have sort of stuck with us this long, even though we don't even do the quiz anymore, and that was the main way people knew us for a long time. But then we brought the podcast in, and then that brought in another audience in addition to that. And now people are sort of, from what we're seeing online, are enjoying the podcast being back. So, just stick with us, guys, and we're going to stick with you. It helps if you tell your friends about us, if you give us a little review on iTunes or anything like that. But yeah, the quiz is coming back. More videos, more podcasts, more from the Filmageddon team. That's all I can say.
Thanks very much for listening.
Yes, and thank you very much for listening. And we are going to be back at it again next week. And I'm very excited because we'll get to talk a little bit about the big lizard himself. That's right, Blair will be back on the podcast. Yeah, Godzilla chat next week, guys. Don't miss it. Adam, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.